All right, so we're going to solve some one-step equations. Now, of course, equations will get more difficult later on. We'll be doing 2 and 3 step, but let's start off easy. Let's start with one-step equations. Now, you can look at this and you can solve it right off, and that's great. However, what I want for you to do is I want you to use this method that I'm going to show you, because this is going to be something that you can use when we do get to those 2 and 3 step equations, and it will always work. So what we do is we have to do the work backwards. We are doing the opposite of what is done in this equation. So in this equation, I have a number m, stood for by the variable, and I'm adding 18 to it, and I'm getting 56. So in order to undo, we're doing the do-undo method. In order to undo what was done in this equation, I took that number and I added 18 to it. So in order to undo that, I am going to subtract 18. And when I do that, I've got to do it to both sides of this equation. That will help it balance out. Okay, it's kind of like on a seesaw. If you put someone who weighs 18 kilos on one side, you have to put someone who weighs 18 kilos on the other. So right here, if I've got positive 18 and a negative 18, these cancel. 18 steps forward, 18 steps back, I'm right where I started from. Over here, I'm going to go ahead and solve this. So 16 minus 8 is 8. And 4 minus 1 is 3. So the m is going to fall straight down. So now then I've got that m is equal to 38. So that tells me the answer to this equation. I know that m is 38. And if I go back through and check it, it should work out. If I add 38, where the m is, plus 18, I should get 56. And if I check it out, there's 16, and 3 plus 2 is 5, and looky there, it works. So there is our do-undo method of solving the equation for addition. Now subtraction. Okay, with subtraction, I have this number that was x, my variable. I subtracted 24 and I got 3. So the last thing I did to x was I subtracted 24. So the opposite of subtract is to add 24. So if I add 24 to both sides, here it cancels. Positive 24, negative 24. Over here, I've got 24 plus a negative 3, which means I'm doing 24 minus the 3, and I'm going to take the positive sign. So I don't need to put the positive sign because I know this is positive. So this is 21 in the positive. The x is going to fall down because it's all that's left. And I've got that x is equal to 21. So let's check it out. Let's see if that does work out. Does 21 minus 24 equal to a negative 3? Well, I know that I've got a positive minus a negative, so I'm actually going to subtract. So 24 minus 21. And I get 3. And since the biggest number was negative, that was that negative 24, I'm going to get a negative 3. That works. Perfect. Okay, moving on. Multiplication. Same do-undo method here. Here we go. Let me grab a different color, and there we go. Okay, so 14 times j is equal to 84. So the last thing I did to j was I multiplied it times 14. The opposite of multiplication is division. And I show division by putting a line like a fraction. So I'm going to divide it by 14. So 14 divided by 14 is 1. So that gives me 1j, which I can just indicate as j, because a 1j is the same thing as a j. In other words, if j was like 10, 1 times 10 is the same thing as 10. So we just write it as j. So I've got it equals to, and if I do 84 divided by 14, I believe it's going to be 6. Yes, it is. Perfect. So if I plug this in and check it out, I would say 14 times 6 is equal to 84. And looky here, sure enough, 14 times 6 is equal to 84. So that works. 84 is 84. That works. Okay, final example, division. Okay, this might look big, bad, and hard and confusing. It is not. The last thing I did to y, my variable, is I divided it by 8 and I got 27. So the opposite of divide by 8 is to multiply by 8. So instead of putting it underneath, I like to put it out here by the side. So I'm going to multiply this times 8, and I like to write it as 8 over 1 because it's like a fraction. Okay, when you multiply fractions, this is what you would do. Over here, I'm just going to multiply times 8 like that. So if I multiplied this times 8 and then divided it by 8, if I did 8 times y, I would get 8y over 8. And if I divided it by 8, I would just get y. So these cancel. Those cancel out. So I get y over 1, which is the same thing as y. So y over 1 is the same thing as y, because if y was like 18, 18 divided by 1 is 18. It's the same thing. So now I have 27 times 8. So if I do 27 times 8, and I get 216. Yeah, 216. So y in this case is 216. So if I check it and I say 216, let me get my blue color that I've been checking in. 216 divided by 8 is equal to 27. When I do 216 and I divide it by 8, 8 times 2 is 16. I get 5 there. And that would be 56. So there's 27. So 27 is equal to 27. So that checks. Okay, so that is how we we use the do and undo method to work one-step equations. Good luck with that.